That winter, obviously, I'd moved to Manchester. Suddenly getting all this Castelli winter gear there is invaluable. And I really just want to start winning some more races again. It's what I was good at. A lot of the training is quite similar, to be honest. You know, it's still an endurance event on the track for me. So the team pursuit, you do 70 kilometers an hour for 4 minutes. So it's like the aerodynamic stuff matters so much. And yeah, I'm obviously super aware of that. And if you're 2% off, you can be the best in the world and you won't win. It makes that much difference. It's great for Castelli, but unfortunately for everyone else, that's just how professional cycling is. You know, the margins are so small and these things do make a difference. So.
Welcome back to the Castelli podcast, where we dive into the world of cycling with the sport's biggest names and brightest talents. I'm your host, Søren Jensen, and today we have a fascinating conversation lined up with one of Britain's most versatile and exciting cyclists, Ethan Hayter. Ethan has proven time and time again that he can do it all, from dominating time trials and sprint finishes to claiming stage race victories and world championship and Olympic medals on the track. Ethan's versatility has made him one of the most exciting talents in professional cycling. After starting his pro career with INEOS in 2020, Ethan made the important decision to move on from the team where he had spent his entire career. Today we'll dig into his journey, how he's adjusting to his new team, and what he's looking forward to most in the next chapter of his career. We'll also explore his off-season routines, his favorite race memories, and his goals for the future, both on the road and on the track. And of course, we'll touch on his thoughts about joining the Wolfpack and Castelli family for the next 2 seasons and how cycling culture and technology has helped shape his success. So whether you're gearing up for your next ride or just here for the stories behind the sport, sit back and enjoy. This conversation, I promise you, is one to inspire. Let's welcome Ethan Hayter. Well, first of all, I'd like to welcome you on the Castelli podcast.
Thank you.
And welcome to your new team, Soudal Quick-Step. But we will get into a little bit of that in a second. But before we start the show, I have 5 rapid fire round of questions for you. Okay. You need to give a short answer and the first thing that usually comes to your mind. Ready?
Great.
Okay. Yeah. Are you obsessed with your bike setup or just go and ride?
Just go and ride, normally.
What race would you like to win one day?
Tour of Flanders.
Nice. Especially with this team here, would be something special.
Yeah.
You have won national titles and earned medals in many track events. Which one stands out to you?
The first world title I won on the track will always be special, yeah.
Yeah. You have ridden almost all 5 monuments. One is still missing. Will you race the Paris-Roubaix with Soudal Quick-Step one day?
Hopefully.
I see you have a Strava account. Do you also hunt KOMs?
Yeah, sometimes I do.
Nice. So Ethan, let's get into the a little bit more in depth on some of the things we touched on now, and other exciting things about you and the future. So again, first of all, welcome to the Castelli podcast. How has your first few days been with your new team here in Calpe?
It's been really nice. Yeah, it's obviously been quite busy with all the media stuff, but it's kind of always the same for December camps, and it's been nice getting to know everyone. I did the end of season camp in October in Belgium, and then getting to know them here on the bike and stuff has been really nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great team, and especially as a partner, when we joined the team end of 2021, so 22 was the first season, and I personally felt straight away like part of this family here of riders and the staff and everything, and it's always nice to come back. I assume it's a bit the same thing that you also are referring to here.
Yeah, it's I've obviously only been here a week or a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
I'm kind of new on the job, but no, the culture seems really, really good.
Yeah. When you finished your 24 season and moved into the off season, obviously you had a very busy year, racing on the road, Olympics, Worlds. So much has been going on. How has your off season been? What have you been doing? Are you the guy who just puts the bike away for a few weeks, or do you keep riding? What do you do?
For the off season, I finished in Denmark in the World Championships.
Yeah.
And then we went straight to the Soudal headquarters for the end of season thing with the team, which was nice to get to know people and stuff. A bit tiring, obviously, the end of the year. And then, I had a few days nice and easy, relaxing. And then we were I went to Prague for a friend's stag do, which was fun. And then from there, I went to Mauritius with my girlfriend for 10 days, which was great.
So completely detaching yourself from your bike and riding. And
no bike, I did a tiny bit of running slowly I find it nice to do some exercise sometimes, just to not completely feel super lethargic. And
also good for your mindset, just mentally.
Yeah, it's nice to do some exercise before you lie on the beach.
Yeah. So personally, but also everyone at Castelli, we're super excited to have you back in our clothing. I mean, you joined Team Sky as a stagiaire. I think it was in August 2018.
Yep.
And then you signed with the team or with INEOS for the 2020 season.
Yep.
Then we were sponsoring the team up through the 2021.
Those 2 years, yeah.
Yeah. We're very excited to have you back. Was that also your first Castelli memory there back in 2018? Or did you already had a Castelli product before when you were younger?
There might have been. No, I don't think I had much actually, no, before. No? But yeah, when I first, even the stagiaire, I didn't get a full kit issue obviously, but I got probably much more kit than I needed for the stagiaire races that I did. And it was that winter, obviously, I'd moved to Manchester with the British cycling team and stuff. And suddenly getting all this Castelli winter gear there is invaluable. And it felt great while I was wearing it all the time.
Yeah, I think I spotted you also on a few videos after we stopped the partnership, but just the same also with G and a few of the other riders. Still, when it was the weather turned to bad, especially pouring down in the UK, wearing like the Hydro Pro rain jacket, rain cape, all blacked out, I think. We're happy to have you back. And, all your product feedback, we will welcome that with open arms.
Yeah.
If you have any specific requirements, just come to us, or feedback and everything. It's positive feedback is always great to hear, but constructive feedback is even better.
Yeah.
The only way we can keep improving what we're doing. So, yeah.
I have seen the kit for next year actually, and looks great for my... with the stripes and stuff, so they've done a great job.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Thank you for that. It's a little bit different this time, a little bit more fresh, more dynamic. So you joined the team as a professional in 2020. You had a stellar season in 2021. You won the GC at the Tour of Poland, stages at Tour de Romandie, Basque Country, among others in 22 and 23. Road race national championships in Great Britain last year, but then you decided to leave the team where you had raced throughout your whole career. I don't want to get into, what impacted your decision to move on, because I think after 5 years, it's kind of a natural move. But what excites you the most about joining Soudal Quick-Step? And how do you think this move will shape your future career?
Yeah, it's obviously impossible to say without really seeing into the future with a crystal ball, but I'm kind of hoping and feeling like a change will be good for me, and a fresh start after 5 years in a new environment. Well, hopefully, I'm hoping to really getting back into getting the most out of racing.
I'm super excited myself. I've always been a big fan, so to be honest, Ethan. So yeah, how did it with the contract and everything? How did that come about?
Yeah, it was obviously I had to kind of decide what to do, and had a lot going on. A lot of my mind was focused on the Olympics at the time and these things. There was a bit of interest around, and then when Quick-Step came available, and I was immediately, it was where my heart really wanted to go, to be honest. So it kind of excited me, and it was something I wanted to do.
Also try something different. I mean, also this team has also evolved from being the dominating classics team also now to a Grand Tour team, but still with a lot of open doors in all races. And if you're the one with the good legs that day, I mean, the team will then be racing for you, and give you a lot more possibilities, I assume. I mean, this is what I've seen, also especially with the younger riders here on the team from the past few years. So, but then after been racing for the same team, using the same equipment, working with the same staff, performance coach and DSs for 5 years, what challenges do you anticipate in adjusting to the new equipment here? Teammates, racing strategies?
Yes, it's definitely a big change. With Specialized as well, they do everything. So it's a new saddle and a new shoes and new bike and new wheels and everything. But it's a nice problem to have sometimes. And it is a shame to leave INEOS, to be honest, when you've been 5 years with working with the same guys who you get on really well with, to be honest. And it's kind of easy when you know everyone so well to get along and do the work. So it's going to be, it is obviously hard work, not hard work, but really in the grand scheme of things, it's just racing your bike. But it's, there's some adjustments to make, but so far it's been pretty smooth, and then see how the races go.
Yeah, that's true. You have proven to be an extremely versatile rider, winning sprints, time trials, hilly races. Mm-hmm. How does your program for the 2025 season looks like? And do you have any specific goals for the season? Yeah,
it was kind of difficult. We sat down in Belgium a few weeks ago, and it was kind of, hadn't had the best season in a bit, so I didn't want to go in and demand to be, this is my goals, this is what I want to do, you know?
Yeah.
So I have a nice, I really just want to start winning some more races again. It's what I was good at. And I've got a nice mix of different levels of races, if that makes sense. It's not all massive World Tour races. So hopefully that, gets me racing well and enjoying it. So
yeah,
I've got a nice build up and hoping to race a Giro as well in May, which will be exciting.
That'll be huge. I mean, also especially for us as Castelli, also being the technical sponsor of the race, and the Marginal, it will be, we put a lot of attention, a lot of party into that event, so it'll be great to see you in the Giro.
Yeah, and it's also, I've not even, one of the small problems for me at INEOS was just the way I fit into the team was a bit difficult sometimes, and I only started one Grand Tour in 5 years.
Yeah, and unfortunately you had to abandon that one.
I got COVID 10 days in, and had to abandon, so I've not even... I've done half of a Grand Tour in my 5 years, so something I'm hoping to change.
Just to tick that one box off and then do your second and maybe the third. I mean, you could do them all three in your career.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But you've already achieved a lot in your short career, so everything else will still come your way. I'm pretty sure about that. When you were a kid, just like every one of us, pretty sure also that you grew up watching, or maybe you had a dad or grandfather watching the Tour or the Giro on television.
Yeah, it was... I didn't really come from a cycling family, actually. It was a bit different for me. But just during July, for whatever reason, my dad used to watch the Tour de France highlights on... they were always on ITV in the UK at 7 o'clock. I don't know if they're still running, but... so I had a bit of interest from that. And we went to watch... It was in London one year, the prologue or something we went to watch. But otherwise, no cycling in my family. And it's a bit different. So, I was actually going to race the Tour a couple of years ago. But I broke my collarbone in the Dauphiné. I did the whole Tenerife camp, and then 2 hours into the Dauphiné, I broke my collarbone, and that was...
Oh, no.
It was the second time that season. It actually hadn't... I did it in Australia at the start of the year.
Yeah.
And it just never healed. We found out in the X-ray after it was broken again, but it just broke in exactly the same place. And, you can see the calcification or something like that, and you could just see it had never healed the first time. So, then after doing that in the Dauphiné, it was kind of... Most of that season was done again, and... it would be great to ride as well.
Yeah. But how did you then end up in cycling, then starting on the track, since your parents were not into cycling? Was that a friend of the family, or who kind of pushed you in that direction or introduced you to cycling when you were a small kid?
I actually saw, it was actually before the London Olympics. There was a World Cup or something on TV of track cycling. And I saw it just on Eurosport or something. When you're... It's a Sunday morning or something, you're just like going through the TV looking for something to watch.
Yeah.
And I was watching these, trying to work out these match sprints because it looks so strange on the track. Two guys, massive guys waiting to sprint. And I kind of had an interest then. And then it turned out a couple of my friends from school had started going to Herne Hill Velodrome, which was just like 10 minutes away from me. And you can go there on a Saturday morning, and it was £2 to go and ride, and you get a bike from the shed and off you go. So that's how I started, and I did a couple of those sessions and kind of got the bug straight away.
And then the training would be, how often would that be during the week?
I just went to the track on a Friday night for fun, basically.
How old were you then?
I was 14 or 15.
Okay.
So no, 13 and 14.
13, 14, yeah.
So it was actually, some guys start super young, don't they? So, So this is a little bit later, but still quite young, really,
When you go home and see your family, do you still sometimes go on the track?
Yeah, I've not actually ridden. I go down to watch if I'm there. I go down to the track league or something. Yeah, I went after the Olympics. It was nice because they do the track league on Wednesday night there, and there's actually quite a lot of people go down to watch or socialize or
That's what I like about track
have a beer,
racing.
yeah, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. They've also, well, I mean, it was really lucky for me that when I went, they just the track almost shut down. They had no money and all these things, and they managed to get some funding. And the surface was in really bad, not really bad. It was in quite bad condition. And all the grandstand was completely. You couldn't go inside. It was too dangerous.
Yeah,
it was falling down. So,
oh no!
But now it's been completely. They got a load of money from UK Sport or something, and what they've done is amazing, to be honest. And it's really nice to go down on a Wednesday or something now, and there's loads of people there, children and everyone having fun.
I think it's also a sport that is easy to introduce kids to cycling because it's within a safe environment, first of all.
Yep.
And if they learn how to ride on the track or do cyclocross and mountain biking before entering the road, their technical skill set would just be on such a higher level than anyone else. And I think, then on the velodrome, as we said, it's a safe space for them to have fun. I remember when I was racing my bike myself, I never raced on the track, but we had it like 10 kilometers from my parents. We had a velodrome outdoor, built in I think in the early 50s. It's all concrete. But I'll go there every Monday after been racing on the weekend and just use it as like the recovery day. Exactly like you said, just a few laps inside of the velodrome, but more the social aspect, just catching up with people, having a good laugh. The atmosphere was different than what you usually would find, on the road.
Yeah. There's definitely people that go down. You go down for a training session, but actually you're going down really for fun.
For fun, yeah.
And then the training is like a second part. But yeah, it's also in London. It's difficult to cycle sometimes, so
yeah,
you can. It's a great space for children to learn, and there are obviously some barriers in cycling. It's quite an expensive sport to get into sometimes, but at Herne Hill with the track and the higher bikes, it's pretty good. £2-3, whatever it is now.
Yeah,
and you get a bike and all these things, which is great.
Yeah,
great to get people there.
Yeah, we need to keep fostering, new talents, especially through the track racing, but also what is good to hear that track that you grew up with has been redone or repaired. It's almost like brand new again. From your track experience, how has that influenced your road racing skills, particularly in sprint finishes or everything on the road, moving around in the pack where you probably feel more comfortable?
You learn so much, actually. If you do a points race or something, or you do a track league, you do so many, like a points race, you do four or five races within one race, and you practice so many times trying to win all through the night, and you're doing this once or twice a week. So it's amazing how much you learn in terms of like timing the finishes or how to beat somebody or these things.
Yeah.
And sometimes you go to a road race and you can see when people haven't really practiced that so much. And these guys from the track, they're really good at it because you have to use your brain as much as your legs. So yeah, it's great for learning that stuff. And
yeah,
I mean, even at the track leagues, for example, you're in different categories, and the kind of middle category is a mix of like kind of stronger men, and then also really young 14, 13-year-olds who aren't quite in the top group. And in a lot of the races, the stronger men can ride off, but then in the elimination race, there's always a few of the young guys beating all the men because it's always the little kids are really good at the like ducking and diving in the bunch and riding on a small gear to move at the right time, and it's really really good for that stuff.
But it's almost the same words that I've heard from Michael Murkoff, but also Viviani, Elia, same thing. I mean, you just tell and just see them also the way that they maneuver. Also, when getting into a sprint finish, for example,
well, those two are probably two of the best people to ever have done it. So quite, if you can get close to their level, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah. In the past, but also now with your new team, I'm pretty sure they also will let you still compete on the track. But how do you balance then training and preparation for both disciplines, for a road program and a track program, especially in an Olympic year like last year?
Yeah, it is really tricky. I think if you get the balance right, a lot of the training is quite similar, to be honest. It's still an endurance event on the track for me. So
yeah,
a lot of the time you're doing the same things, and it's just like the final pieces of the puzzle. And it's a tricky balance because you have to go to Manchester to do the track training or something like this. So logistically is almost trickier than the actual training side. But if you get the balance right, it can even benefit both. If you come back to the road with that extra speed, You see, like when Cav was doing the track, he was winning loads of Tour de France there just for fun. And then Milan this year has been a good example as well. So if you really get the balance right, it can really work.
And then you never have had any issues in the past also with the team letting you focus on the track, within these short periods of the year?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
It can, if they want you to do a race, then it can be tricky. You have to kind of work together with them. And yeah, I mean, if you're racing well on the road, then they almost don't care, but
yeah,
they're fine. But if you're suddenly not racing so well on the road, everyone likes to blame the track sometimes, even when it's not necessarily the issue.
Yeah.
It's easy to point the fingers at it, but yeah, you have to be careful. If you do too much and you don't get the balance right, then you kind of lose fitness as well, because there's less volume and that kind of thing. But
yeah, but definitely also here with your new team, I mean, at least with the years of Quick-Steps in 2003, this team here have had a lot of track cyclists on the team, 6 days, I mean, everything.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you will get a bit more room here maybe for...
Yeah, I don't plan on doing a huge amount, to be honest. And even last year was the Olympic year, so when I was meant to be doing a lot, and it wasn't so much track, it was more just after the nationals. Before that, I did everything, Tour de Suisse, nationals, and all the road races before it were the normal, was like a normal calendar. So
yeah. How do you then for Olympics or World Championships, how do you prepare yourself mentally and physically for those big races? But it could also be on the road, you know.
It can be. It's always the Olympics is a funny one because it's only every 4 years. With the Worlds, I've done a few road worlds and a few track worlds now, and you kind of know what you're expecting.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're still excited. It's a big event and stuff, but the Olympics is always a bit weird because it's so big, and like everyone at home is. All my friends from school and stuff, they don't really follow cycling so much, but the Olympics, everyone knows it and everyone kind of follows it a bit. So there is more pressure there, and it's tricky, especially in British cycling. You can feel the pressure a bit, but no, we went and had a good time, to be honest, so it was good.
Has it been difficult for you sometimes when you have had, like when you had to face setbacks, to still remain focused and motivated and looking more towards the long-term goal in your career? Yeah,
it is. Yeah, I mean, I've had quite a few now in the last couple of years. Close ones, like in the Vuelta, I got COVID the day before the time trial, and then kind of the rules then, even though I wasn't too sick, but it was probably the right thing to go home. And then I managed to have a week off and come back for the World's time trial. It was less than a month later, and I was fastest at the halfway point, and I dropped my chain. So and missed out by 30 seconds or so on winnings, and I was fourth. So they were like double setbacks there, and then I broke my collarbone twice the next year. So it's part of sport at the end of the day. It's
but it can be difficult for some riders, for some people.
I think it's difficult for everyone. Yeah.
No, but still remain focused and on looking more like towards like be patient.
Yeah, you have to. You kind of. I mean, you're forced to. You don't even have a choice. You don't even have a choice.
Yeah.
If you're not patient, I don't know what you're going to do.
But do you detach yourself a little bit also from the media or what people are writing on socials and stuff?
Yeah, you try. Obviously, you still get some stuff, but you kind of try your best not to. I mean, there's so many stories and so many guys when you're friends with especially a lot of pros under the away from the media and stuff, there's so many stories that you never hear of, or guys that have had all these issues that you never see. People just think they've had a bad season, but so many things can happen to you to throw you off. To really compete for races, especially recently, you have to be at 100%, and so many guys have issues and you never hear about it. So it's kind of sport, and life. Everyone has the setbacks, and
it is. Yeah,
you have to stay patient and hope you can get it right one time.
Are you a person who looks much into the numbers? You sit there every evening going through your numbers from the day after training, or do you leave that up to your training coach and just keep it more like at a high level?
Yeah, it's kind of a rough gauge, to use. It's kind of a rough gauge of the training and making sure you're kind of doing the right amount, I guess. You're not trying to set personal bests every day, and at the end of the day, you kind of yeah, sometimes the stuff we use to monitor these numbers isn't super accurate either. So
Right.
it's hard, it can vary between different bikes and different things. So
conditions outdoor, in
Yeah,
rainy
exactly,
weather or
yeah,
hot summer
yeah.
day. So you also race or train a lot on your feeling, your gut feeling, how you feel that day without looking too much at the numbers.
a bit, yeah, basically.
What about then coming into an important stage? Let's say it's a time trial, which you already won a few. Do you let the sports director tell you about the stage, the profile, the corners, what you need to be careful about? Or do you also look into all this yourself, like do your own research?
There's a great website called VeloViewer, and I think all the teams use it now. So, and I think most riders are also looking weeks, and even before you pick the race, you might pick a time trial that's good for you or something like that, and see where the climbs are. And then obviously you do like a pacing plan normally, where you're going to put the power. And for me, it's, sometimes people like to give exact numbers, but I kind of use it as a gauge and then kind of go off feeling once I'm in the race. Obviously still kind of using the power meter a bit, but you don't want to just be chasing numbers. You want to be riding fast, and sometimes it's not the same thing. So
No. What is the perfect parcours for you for a TT?
I don't know, to be honest. But
Little hilly?
definitely not a mountain time trial. I've done a couple of those recently, and definitely not. But yeah, maybe something with rolling, or even a flat TT is kind of okay, to be honest. Maybe
technical, like a lot of corners, or on and back.
With the corners, I'm quite good actually. The on-off stuff and recovering for a few seconds can be quite. I can recover quite quickly and that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm quite obviously a pan flat TT. I struggle a little bit against the 80 kilo plus guys.
Yeah, like Ghana or
but I can be pretty close, to be honest, if I'm on a good day. So
yeah. But also with the VeloViewer, it's interesting. It's in all the cars today. And as you said, everything has already been reconned and analyzed and researched months or weeks before. The same with the weather. There are 10 different weather apps. There's also the average speed of last time that the race did the exact same stage. There's so many things you can go into. So all the teams kind of start on the same level. What do you think makes the difference that you cannot find within the technology that we all use today?
Talent, probably. I don't know. The riders make the difference, really. At the end, there's so much in the science and the equipment. You can't, if you're not on competitive skin suits, overshoes, bikes, everything. If you're 2% off, you can be the best in the world and you won't win. To be honest, it makes that much difference. Is unfortunately, it's great for Castelli, but unfortunately for everyone else. That's just how professional cycling is. The margins are so small, and these things do make a difference. So you can put it all in a thing that works out how fast you're going to go, your CDA and your watts and your kilos, and everything makes a difference. It all is part of the puzzle. Yeah,
it's part of the puzzle. 2006 was the first year we went to the Windtunnel. That was then in San Diego. And then we've been going like 3 to 5 times a year with Soudal Quick-Step or INEOS or Team Sky or other teams we sponsored in the past. But also with the national team, of course, with the Italian national team, with Ghana, keep improving also. His suits, Chris Froome, G, they're also in the past. Ryder Hayter with the Garmin Barracuda when he won the Giro. We did Windtunnel testing there like 3 months before, trying to just make his suit that was already the fastest that we have ever tested in the tunnel that year, because we also bring suits from other brands. But what I wanted to get to is that it's not the teams that is inviting Castelli to join them for testing like it happens with a lot of other brands. We are lucky that we have one of the most innovative wind tunnels in Milan, owned by the University of Milan, the Politecnico, where we do all our testing on. And right now, it's like every time we go, sometimes they even let us just do our own thing in there because they know that we know the procedure, we know the equipment and everything. And but it would be fantastic to get you into the tunnel one day.
Yeah, it would be great. Obviously with the track stuff, the Team Pursuit, you do 70 kilometers an hour for 4 minutes. So it's like the aerodynamic stuff matters so much. And yeah, I'm obviously super aware of that. And
Do you actually know the story about the Sanremo speed suit? So the Sanremo speed suit was then the first aero road suit ever introduced to cycling. The idea of the Sanremo speed suit came at the 2009 Milan Sanremo when Mark Cavendish won the race by only a few centimeters to Heinrich Kausler.
Yeah.
And I remember Heino, he was of course devastated, afterwards. And Castelli's brand manager, Steve Smith, he met up with him, and Heino was talking, I had my aero jersey, aero short and everything, but I still didn't have it there in the end. And going with that high speed coming into the sprint. And then Steve was thinking about the numbers that we saw from the Windtunnel. Like, hey, wait a second. Because back then, 2009, Cervelo Test Team was the only team in the World Tour with an aero jersey back then, which everyone else, all the teams were kind of trying to catch up on that later on. Everyone else was just wearing like raglan sleeve jersey, flapping jerseys. But no, so Steve was thinking, if he stitches the jersey on top of a most aerodynamic short, so an aero jersey, with a full-length zipper in the front, because you also need to stop for a race like Milan Sanremo for natural breaks.
A couple of times normally, yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of other teams were already, but for smaller races, racing in TT suits. But usually maybe you would take a TT suit for a crit race, but not a longer 1 day race or stage race. So stitching them together, eliminating all the folds on the sides, we put it back into the tunnel and we did the first test. He was like, wow, with that speed that Heino he went with against Cav, he would have won if he would have been in that. And but coming back to what you said, then via Roma and at Milan Sanremo, going there with 70 kilometers an hour in speed, it makes a huge difference.
Well, there's also the 6 hours before kind of.
Exactly, saving energy also. It's a long
1 or 2 watts. It's
exactly
can make a difference after 6 hours.
A huge difference, yeah. So, Ethan, we're almost running out of time because I promised Aurélie that I wouldn't steal too much of your time. So, my last few questions here. What is your advice for young cyclists? Someone like yourself who has climbed the ranks at a young age. What advice will you give to inspiring cyclists trying to make it into the professional ranks?
Yeah, I think try your best to keep enjoying it. It's easy to get sucked into everything is 100% performance all the time, but rides with your friends and these kind of things is important to keep it fresh. And if you're not enjoying it, you're not going to keep. It's going to be hard to keep going when life's other distractions come.
Yeah,
and also when you then become pro, you've not made it. It gets even harder, really. So I think try your best to keep enjoying it, keep riding with friends, and find a nice group of you to go and have fun with.
Yeah. When you do your training in Andorra, do you often, or most of the times, ride alone? Or if you have to do your efforts or intervals, and then other times, longer rides, do it in a group of other professionals, other riders, amateur riders?
Yeah, you try and go together with someone. It also, there's a few, even if you have efforts and you can try and work it together with something. Or, it's nicer to, also for me to have, say I'm meeting someone at this time and get me out of the door in the morning is also an easy, makes life easier, and it makes cycling more enjoyable.
It does, yeah. Also because you've got that 9 o'clock appointment, you just have to leave. It's not about, let me just have one more coffee and read the news.
It's easy to find something, some way of procrastinating otherwise.
Last question here, Ethan. I assume that you're the reason why your brother Leo, he got into cycling or track racing. He probably looked up to you and then wanted to do the same as his brother. Was that also part of that enjoyment and feeling, at the fun on the bike? As you mentioned, also with your brother, you guys have been through a lot. You both have had big success, but everything also coming from the track. You had something that was united between the two of you.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And really nice to do some races on the same team together. But actually, when I was cycling, Leo started a little bit later than me in the end.
Okay.
And I kind of we never rode together. We did bits, but while I was younger, we never rode together that much because he was obviously a bit younger, and then
3 years younger, no?
Yeah, 3 years younger, and then by the time he was really getting more, because he wasn't super into it at first. He was kind of just doing bits and bobs, and then as I moved away to Manchester with the academy at 18 or something. I moved away from home to and then suddenly he was really improving really fast,
Yeah.
which was so cool to see. But yeah, I wasn't there that much, for that time. And then COVID happened, and he was living in Sittard in the Netherlands, actually. He was with Team DSM, the development team.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he was winning more races, but we never saw each other so much. It was quite strange. He suddenly progressed so much, and yeah, then the last couple of years I've seen him a lot more. I've seen the same team and stuff, and it's been pretty cool.
Yeah. I think it's a nice journey for both of you. You've been taking, different paths, but you all kind of started at the same place, the same velodrome. Also,
there's actually loads of us, yeah. I mean, obviously London is quite a big place, but this pocket of South London we've all come from, there's quite a few of us in the World Tour now, which is pretty cool. Fred Wright and Tom Gloag, and there's been a couple of other guys in continental teams, and yeah, it's and Lucas Nuruka.
Lucas, yeah.
It's been great.
It's definitely something that with track cycling that we should inspire families, parents and kids to start on the track. Of course, not everyone have a track close to where they live, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a problem, yeah.
So, but join a local cycling club, and a lot of cycling clubs also today. I think they also have bikes that they lend out to kids, for if they want to try it out.
Yeah, generally, I mean, Herne was definitely a welcoming environment. Maybe not most cycling clubs as well. I can't speak for everyone, but everyone tries to help out, and there's a lot of old people growing up, so old bikes being moved on, and yeah, it's normally a really welcoming environment, and
it is
great to grow up in.
And also a safe environment, also for the kid too. So yeah, definitely something that we should inspire people, and also don't ever hesitate to send your kids off to if there's a local club. Go and talk to them first, get an idea, and there's always a nice introduction there. And it's all about, like Ethan, he said, also about having fun on the bike. Also for the kids, maybe it's a road club, maybe it's a mountain biking. You go out there maybe on a grass field, you ride through cones or water bottles and just play with the bike.
Exactly, yeah.
So Ethan, it's been fantastic to have you on the Castelli podcast. Thanks for taking the time doing these busy days here in Calpe with your team, and all the best of luck for next year. And I'm looking forward to meet you sometime later, maybe in a year's time or mid-season, for another episode if you're up for that. I would definitely love that, to get your rate of respect or your thoughts on your first season.
Yeah, thanks. I'm excited.
All the best of luck, and thanks again.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye. And that's a wrap of this week's episode. Stay tuned for next episode landing on January the 14th, where we'll be chatting to the talented Urs Gassigard, a newcomer to the AG Insurance Soudal team. So stay tuned, January 14th. Until then, have fun and ride safe.